Ready to start our meeting, so everyone could take your seat. If you have your cell phones please put it on vibrate or silence. If there's any comment cards that I have not received, if you can bring those up quickly for me, I'd appreciate it. Welcome everyone here this morning. It is 9:30. The Bradford County Board of County Commissioners, meeting for April the 2nd, 2024 is now called to order. You stand up and we will do the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Heavenly Father, we are so gracious to you, dear Lord, for allowing us to be here today. We thank you, dear Lord, for loving us so that you gave your only begotten Son that we might all be saved. Dear Lord, we serve a risen Savior who loves us dearly, dear Lord, and let us learn to share that love with one another. Dear Lord, we are grateful for everyone that is here today. Lord, we ask that you give us a portion of your wisdom today as we carry out our agenda today. May we do it in a manner that is pleasing to you and beneficial to our community. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again. We have public comments, and as you're coming to do your public comments, if you would maybe pull the mic as close to you as possible and speak loudly into it. The people who are listening to us online can't hear us, and so we need to be able to project our voices, and we'll ask the commissioners if you would do likewise, okay? And the first one to come for our one note, Commissioner Thompson is not here today, and so we have our 4 board members present. Dr. Steele is going to come with comments.
Paul Steele, 14167 Southwest 101st Avenue, Stark. Back to talk to you again about Cypress Run. Starting off with some real positive things. The hog carcasses have been removed. The area was graded and it looks really good. They did some additional mowing, so that's very positive. The fact that it's on your agenda for an extension this morning is also very positive. Switching over to my more negative side now, I think it's really important to recognize that I think you're out of money on the grant, or very close to being out of money. And there's a potential source of money out there, maybe. It looks like the grant paid $5,000 to Andy Easton for management services. And I emailed you the invoice and the check. There's no real description of what work was performed for that $5,000. And I think it's worth going into a little bit of an investigation to see whether, in fact, there was work performed for the grant. Now, they helped with the application, but they're not allowed to bill for the application work. So I would urge you to take a look at that to see whether there's some money there. The other issue, I think, is that it's still out there. I don't believe the design that DRMP has produced is permittable. And I'd urge you to think about going to another engineering firm that you have under contract to have them evaluate that to make sure that you're proceeding with a permittable project. And even if that may cost a little bit of money out of commission funds, it's probably worthwhile knowing that you, at the end, have a permittable project and that you can then move on to the construction phase. Because, and I think what's really key is to have a much simpler boat ramp there. What DRMP designed is a very high-end boat ramp. Not something you really need there. It's the people who are going to the lake with their big bass boats probably don't want to go down the Lime Rock rough road with their boats. It's very narrow. They're going to go to the normal boat ramp. But people who are using smaller boats, kayaks, canoes, this would be the Cypress Run boat ramp would be ideal for them. And if you go with the simpler form, you don't need to do any dredging. You just go in, clean out the old canal. And one key is to actually use what's called pervious parking, so that you don't need a retention pond. And that totally reduces the costs, makes it much more environmentally friendly, and probably easier to fund because you don't have as big a pot of money needed from FWC to fund the project. So there's great potential there, but I think you need to take action. You've got hopefully almost a whole year now to take those actions, but time goes by very quickly. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Steele. And next we have the Hospice of Florida and Cody Carter. Welcome.
Cody Carter, 501 Riverside Avenue in Jackson, Florida, 32202. We are coming today to speak with you about a new hospice certificate of need that has been opened up by the Agency for Healthcare Administration. It covers about 9 counties, including Bradford County. Hospice of Florida currently operates out of Jacksonville and covers Duval, Baker, Clay, Nassau, and St. John's. So we would be actually extending over into this area. Part of the application process for the certificate of need is that we have to have letters of support from the surrounding areas that are encompassed in this service area. So Bradford County and Union County and some of the other counties surrounding here. We have been coming into the counties to speak with the actual residents and the Board of County Commissioners, because there are going to be about 10 different hospices that apply for this certificate of need. They don't necessarily come into each of the counties to find out what the healthcare gaps are in those counties, but that is what we are choosing to do. We have to write different conditions that we are going to meet for the state and tell them how we are going to help these counties with these healthcare gaps. So we have come to each one of the counties to find out what their healthcare gaps are, so we can help write our own conditions for that certificate of need. So it's a best fit situation for the county and the residents of this county and for hospice. We don't want to come in like other hospices have and have an office in another large city and send staff in. We want to be able to hire locally and have the staff live in the actual community where they're caring for the patients. We have secured an agreement with the University of Florida, Shands, that we will have an inpatient unit there. But we will also be trying to set up a satellite office aside from our main office that's going to be in Gainesville. So we're trying to pick the communities that we can benefit the most. So at this time, what we need in order to apply is letters of support, saying that you would feel that having another hospice would come into your county would be beneficial to your residents and the community. We want to be embedded in these communities. We don't want to just be sending people from Jacksonville or Gainesville or wherever to come in to care for them. We want this to be your residents seeing that.
Okay. Does the board have any questions or comment? Ms. Carter? All right. Thank you so much. And next on the agenda is the approval of our consent agenda. But Mr. Carnegie is going to speak on item H. And I want to just also ask under E, F, and G if we can have just a brief discussion regarding those. I remember last year when we awarded the grant to this particular group, one of the things that we said that we would have a closer monitoring of the process to make sure that the quality of the buildings were good, were up standard, and I'm not sure if that process has happened. And I don't know.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Kelly, was that Florida Homes or was that another contractor? I think so, yeah.
It was not this one. Okay, then I'm good. All right. Okay, I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, and Mr. Carnegie, you want to speak to H?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to make a clarification on item H. We still need board approval for the modification of the contract, but the dollar amount you see there, 2,100 and change, is, that is being paid by the contractor. So those are not county funds being expended.
All right. Noting the comments from Mr. Carnegie and the clarification that we have on the housing, do we have approval for the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Doherty. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Andrews. Any question, discussion? All in favor by the sign aye.
Aye.
This is 4-0, noting that Mr. Thompson is absent. Thank you. Item 4 is the resolution of the Bradford County Board of County Commission regarding the expenditures of the State Housing Initiative. Do you want to speak to that?
Go ahead.
All right. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Bradford County, Florida regarding the expenditure of State Housing Initiative Partnership funds on Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, eligible activities within the town limits of the town of Brooker, so that such funds may be used as leverage for the town of Brooker's federal fiscal year 2023-24 Florida Small Cities CDBG Housing Rehabilitation Grant application, providing an effective date.
And Madam Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Kennedy is here if you have any questions regarding the resolution.
Okay. Any questions from the board on the resolution? Ms. Kennedy, do you want to speak to that? Thank you.
Just concerning this resolution, we've been approached by the town of Brooker to do a match of 25,000, which is in our budget, be committed for 23-24 for their grant. This is just to help them further the grant for the housing of Bradford County.
Okay. And this would help to improve the housing need in the Brooker area?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. All right. Hearing the explanation, we have a motion for approval.
I make a motion that we approve it as read.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
Second by Commissioner Doherty. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4-0.
Thank you.
Item 5 is the gas tax project and consideration of the adding the 1/4 mile for 1/4 mile sections of road as the gas tax project. Items 1 through 4 and also 5.
Madam Chair, Mr. Dodds had something he had to attend to, so he's not here right now to explain these, but this is just for consideration of the board to add these 4 quarter-mile stretches of road, whether or not you want to consider approval of adding them to the gas tax project list.
Yes.
I believe they're in your district,
Yes,
Ms.
they are.
Banner, so you might.
Yeah,
you
they
might be-
are, and these were requested last fall, and basically with the consensus of the board that we had agreed to those last year. And so we're asking for the official approval of having those. Those are 1/4 mile, they all have millings and in desperate need of paving. And then the 5th one is a 1/4 mile on Southeast 17th.
Yes, ma'am, I believe that's in Commissioner Doherty's district.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to, you could, we could delay this, move it down the agenda, and Mr. Dodds, he's coming back. He should be back any minute. So if you have more questions, we can delay it until he gets here, or you can go ahead and take action now.
Okay. I do know that these very much need to be done, and they were considered last fall. So what's the wishes of the board?
And I'd like to delay the conversation until Mr. Dodds returns.
Okay. All right, we'll hold until Mr. Dodds returns. So there,
Madam Chair,
Go
may I
ahead.
just ask one question?
yes,
Mr. Corngate may know, we're accepting, these roads are county roads, private roads?
these are
County
county,
road.
all county roads.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's all I want.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if I just may make a couple of comments. From finances perspective, if the board does approve this, if at a later time we could get the cost estimates for these, so that way we know what to extract from our main gas tax fund to be able to put into these individual projects. So if you approve that today, that's fine. If we could just make sure at a later time we get the cost estimates for your approval, so that way we can make sure we put in the budget appropriately.
okay. So I guess we will need to maybe delay the BNC as well until it comes.
Madam Chair, Ms. Roden, would it make more sense if we got all those estimates together before we approve these?
Yes, sir.
I think so.
Let me just make one comment, and not
Listen.
speaking for Mr. Jason, but I believe these are just on approval, and then they have to come back, just like item B and C, to get approval to go to engineering, because
That-
all these have to have engineering on them.
That's
they're
correct.
done.
And we'll have to come back
Yeah,
before the board for approval after the price.
yeah, and that's why item B is already on here for the engineering approval of the Southeast 17th. So really, as far as what I'm from talking with Mr. Dodds, is items 1 through 4 is just to, consider approval to even put on our list to move forward with paving.
And I don't know if the board recalls, last fall, these streets were brought up because I think at that time, Commissioner Reddick had asked for the chip sealing on one of the roads, and then at that same meeting, these four were also requested for the paving. But we can wait until Mr. Dodds come. But they have been on the outstanding list for 30 years. And so they are continuing to deteriorate, continuing to cost with labor, and they very much need to be done. They're only a quarter of a mile, and all four roads together is equivalent to a mile. But we'll wait until they come.
And Madam Chair, and Mr. Cornigan, as part of that discussion, you and I talked a little bit about this, but I would like to discuss the options of going with the chip seal. Just as Commissioner Reddick can tell you, over in his district, we did a road over there, and I can't think of the roads because it's your district.
Oh, yeah,
but,
Southeast Fifth.
yeah, and that was about 7 years ago, and I was on that road last week, and that road has really held up well. And so if we're going to continue to go down this path of where we're wanting to pave all these roads, which, as you all know, I'm against that, but anyway, that we go with a more, I guess, a more effective, cost approach to looking at these roads and see what the difference is going to be between a chip seal on a road that, like you said, is a quarter of a mile long versus, actually going out and paving. So, what would the cost difference be on those? So would like to, take a look at that. And then, so like I said, if we do have some other roads that, are in question and that we'd like to improve, that we're going with a more effective cost approach in doing so that we get more bang for our buck. So, and again, I know there's a lot that goes into that, as far as with the engineering, drainage, things like that, could, the road might not perform as well as the ones out at the lake. But like I said, I'm really impressed at how that road's held up out there.
Okay. Yes, we can certainly do that.
And did Jason specify, what he was going to do? here with these roads?
The intent, I think the original intent was to do full-scale paving,
Oh, okay.
but
And that was the indication that Mr. Dodd had given to me during the last year, that these 4 little roads would be paved for this next year. They continue to have to do continuous maintenance on them. And we have to, and I appreciate what Commissioner Doherty is saying about being cost effective. And one of the things that delayed the paving during the previous year was the asphalt that they were getting was substandard, and so they had to wait to get a better quality asphalt so that would be long lasting. And I know that on Southeast 11th, I think that's like a 2 mile long street, and that's why they were going with initially we're going to go with the chip sealing because it was more expensive. But I appreciate what Mr. Doherty is saying. But those short streets that are throughways for a lot of traffic from the prison, from 200B over to 225, and it's those areas are frequently used by heavy traffic.
Ms. Spooner, just so I can, I guess, emphasize what I'm trying to say is that with these roads, the more roads that we continue to pave, the more maintenance we have down the road. Okay. So what I'm looking for is a more cost-effective approach to some of these smaller roads so that we can still use gas tax funds to take care of these collector roads that come into the city or that are more traveled. And for instance, I know that some of these roads on the weekends, like where there's collection sites, there's just, constant traffic back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Not 2 trips a day per house that equals about 16 trips. So again, I'm just trying to figure out how we stretch these dollars out to where a road that's 15 years old that can take a little bit of maintenance now and last another 10 years versus building a new road and then having to maintain all of our roads and not having enough money to go back in that 15th year and be able to put just a little bit of money into that road to continue to have it function properly. So again, it's just a matter of, stretching those dollars out because we don't have a lot of them.
Okay, and none of these that are on the 4 are collection site roads.
I wouldn't consider them like collector type roads. I wouldn't consider, I mean, again, when I say that, like a, County Road 229 or a County Road 225, the roads that are, bringing, more people into the city or out to the bypass, just a more heavily traveled road. So,
Okay.
that's just really, where I think that, we just need to examine that. Because again, like I said, the life of a road, again, if you're getting 15 years and it starts to deteriorate, you put a little bit of money into it and then it goes up and then, you got another 10 years out of it versus every road in the county that we're having to maintain. And then we get to a point to where even these little roads are hard to maintain because we still have to maintain the roads that are, again, more heavily traveled.
Okay. Mr. Dodge, you're on the hot seat. We're discussing item 5, the gas tank project. So I'd like for you to come to the podium, please. And on this list of Northeast 213 and 17, 20, 223, those are areas, 1/4 roads that are in my area that have milling and have continually been a problem for the last 25, 30 years. And so I know last year in the fall, these were roads that would be considered with the gas tax money because they were not eligible for DOT projects as, let's say, the 49th and some of the others, streets in our community. I know at that time, Southeast 11th was being requested for chip seal, but because that company is not available now, we're asking for it to be paved as well.
Yes, ma'am. The actual Southeast 11th, it's not that the company's not available. The company gave us a deliverable that they're unable to deliver, which is why it's been pulled, because they're saying the base isn't firm enough for that. As far as these other 4 roads that got added, the Northeast 17th, Northeast 20th, Northeast 223, and Northeast 213th, at this point, the only thing we're asking permission for is to go out and get the cost estimates for the permitting and engineering work, and then that will have to come back before the board to go to the next step as Northeast or Southeast 17th and Southeast 11th are.
If I may. So we can't give an estimate right now.
No, ma'am, I cannot.
Okay.
You can't give an estimate now because they have to have the engineering study, but we can consider those as gas tech projects.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Okay.
But the first step in that is to go out and see our consultant and seek that fee of what it's going to cost to get that permit and the amount of engineering that will be required to do that. And then I'll have that cost estimate to bring back, just as we did with the other 2 projects.
Madam Chair, Mr. Dodds, my request was that we look at these projects just like we did out at, tell me again, Southeast Fifth?
It's Southeast 16th. I'm sorry. I told you Southeast 5th, but it's Southeast 16th.
Okay.
Or-
Ones
or-
out at, I don't think he was here then, but the ones that, I think it was Pave Right?
Yeah, Southeast 16th. Sorry, Southeast 16th and Pumpkin Patch Road. Where we,
Southeast 30th, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
yeah, yeah, where we got the chip seal on those.
Yes, sir.
And it like Mr. Commissioner Daughtry said, it's held up really, really good. So, and that's a very good question Commissioner Daughtry brought up, is since these roads are so short, would we be better off seeing if we can find another company that does chip seal to look at chip seal on these short roads, to, that way we have more money left in our budget to do the other ones, to do more roads.
No, and that's definitely an option we have, and it's a cost savings to the county. And it retains some of that funds in the gas tax. It's going to ultimately require, I've got to go out and have that base checked to make sure that it's going to be applicable for that. And then we'll be fine with it if we have the proper base on it, and they'll be able to do it. It'd be the same company or whoever gets the contract would be the ones to do it, but there's people out there that do that, and it does save quite a bit of permitting and engineering fees.
And that was my request, just to, look at the approach of, an alternative. If we're able to save some money and then stretch those dollars out to go back into the roads that need maintenance that are already paved, county roads.
Well, and absolutely, and that brings up a great point, and it's something that I've been watching on my radar is, we have a detour that we don't have no control over by the state of Florida, and they destroy our road like they did the one in Graham that runs, from 18 to the Alachua County line. If it wasn't for gas tax, we'd have been in a bind, but we were able to fix that road with gas tax. So I just want to keep in mind that we do need to have us a buffer there.
And just for my clarification, Mr. Dodds, for projects that can be applied to the Department of Transportation, is it only county roads or any street that's paved in our county? Because I was under the impression that 49th was one of those DOT projects
49th,
in Southeast.
Yes, ma'am, it was a DOT project. So there's certain requirements that we have to meet. One of the newest ones is the 60-foot of right-of-way. So if we don't have 60-foot of right-of-way, you automatically don't qualify.
Okay. So if it's our street and it has 60 feet, then it could potentially, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the reason for asking that, I'm thinking about places like the Northwest 177th and Pleasant Grove, places like that would be eligible for DOT.
Yes, ma'am. And there's already some DOT funding for 177th currently for the sidewalk project, which I believe is going to include the resurfacing of 177th.
Okay. And board, I and Mr. Doherty, we don't always agree on the paving piece, but I appreciate what you're saying. But I want our board to begin to see how the improvements in our roadway impact our economic development, because if we're wanting people to move here, businesses to move here, we have to do something so that we have safe roads, because it impacts the health, safety, and our development in the community. So we have to look at doing that, because it creates a lot of work for you when we don't have a paving or chip sealing roads, because the roads erode, and then you guys have to come and keep maintaining and keeping those guys out there all day.
Yes, ma'am. And that's one of the biggest things we have to look at when we're looking at how to spend this gas tax, whether that be widening the road, adding guardrail for, box culverts, different things like that, bridges. There's more to it than us just paving. We've got to keep all that in mind, because that's something that does qualify.
And so my last question to you, then you would have the engineering to come and look at 213, 17, 20, and 223 to give a cost?
Yes, ma'am.
Could we bring that back to the next board?
Yes, ma'am. We should be able to get that done. If it's not the last meeting in April, it'll be the first meeting in May.
I think that answers my questions. Any others for the board?
So at this time, we just need to approve, item A. Okay, and then that way you can go out and get us prices for the engineering, paving, and also get us estimates to, look into do them in chip seal. Is that correct? We won't be approving them for paving, we'll be approving to get estimates for both, for paving and.
For the 4 roads. The
For
other
4
2,
roads,
I've already got the engineering and permitting fee, and that's
Right.
so that I can come back with the total cost of the project.
Yeah, so for 1 through 4, but then number 5 is on item B. So does that mean that Southeast 17th cannot be chip sealed? That it's best to put pavement on that? That's why you got it on here for the,
Yes, there's nothing there currently other than dirt.
okay, so it needs, that one does need to be paved.
Yes, sir.
That's the best.
It would have to have lime rock placed there and then asphalt on top of it.
All right.
So your milling base there is not sufficient just to do chip seal on that road?
No. You talking about 17th?
17.
No, sir.
It's similar. I drove it yesterday to look at it, and it has a combination of the milling, similar to what, I guess, 219 has.
Yeah, the problem is if your millings aren't able to be compacted back to where they're tight and firm and they're unraveling like they currently are in the current condition, the chip seal will not bond to that. So then they separate.
Okay. All right. So all 4 of those streets will fall into that category.
Yes, ma'am. We'll look at what the best option is.
Okay. All right. So at this time, we're asking for approval for Mr. Dodds to get the engineering cost, and also what would be the cost for, I guess, BNC basically. You got the engineering cost, but what would be the cost to actually pave or chip seal?
Correct.
those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sure, may I?
Yeah.
Jason, down here on B and C where you do have an estimate already. This is for, like, this one is for Southeast 17th, you have 16,250.
Yes, ma'am. That is actually to design the plans and
Okay.
to get the permit from Water Management District.
Okay, and the other one, Southeast 11th, is 46,000. Now, they're longer than a quarter, are these two longer than a quarter of a mile?
17th is, I don't have my notes in front of me, but it's longer than a quarter mile, but it's not as long as Southeast 11th.
Do you know how far Southeast 11th is?
It's 2 miles.
2 miles? Okay. I was just looking to see what we would be facing with the others, so.
Yes, ma'am.
And Commissioner Andrews, and those just for the engineering costs, but not the actual cost for doing the paving.
Yes, ma'am. That way we can build it into our plan.
Okay.
So do we have to make a motion,
Yes,
him to,
yes, we'd have to make a motion to get the estimates for the engineering for the 4, and then for the approval of the engineering cost for the BNC and for them to go back and get a cost
Estimate, yes.
estimate for actual paving.
So do we do these one at a time or?
Yes, ma'am. You'll want
Okay.
to, you'll want to treat A, B, and C separately.
Okay,
You want to go ahead?
okay. I'll make a motion that, we approve A for Jason to go out and get estimates and, look at which one would be more
Best suited.
best.
Yes, ma'am.
For both paving and chip
Chip
seal.
seal.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by, motion by Commissioner Andrews, second by Commissioner Doherty. Any question, discussion? All in favor, sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, 4-0. Okay. And then, for B, go ahead.
Just, make a motion for the approval of letter B for the, CH for professional consulting services for the paving of Southeast 17th at $16,250.
Okay, this will be the engineering cost for the consulting fee and then request to get a cost estimate for the actual paving
Yep.
or chip sealing.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Is there a second to the motion?
Go ahead. You go ahead. Second.
Second, motion by Commissioner Andrews, second by Commissioner Reddick. Any further question or discussion?
Yes, I do. So on that one, you've already said that one would not be, you can't chip seal 17.
No, sir,
So
that would
you'd
not,
just be coming back for a price with pavement on that.
correct.
Okay, okay.
Okay. Any further question? All in favor? Sign aye.
Aye.
Okay, 4-0. And C, approval for the proposal CHW professional consultant for, this is for Southeast 11. You want to make, do I have a motion for someone to ask for a motion for approval for the engineering consultant cost and for them to go out and seek the cost for the actual work or paving?
I'll make the motion for that.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Andrews,
Second.
second by Commissioner Reddick. All in favor? Any further questions or
Yeah.
discussion?
And Mr. Dodds, on that one, same as 17th, you're not able to chip seal that one? So that's why you're moving forward with?
Yeah, that was
design with
actually the
CHW?
one that we prepared for them to chip seal, and then their schedule got changed and they didn't get there in time, and then the base unraveled and they didn't feel comfortable placing the chip seal on it.
And board, I'll just make a comment. This road here has got me in a lot of trouble because we went out there with Jason. We met with the chip seal company. We rode up and down the road. We told them everything we wanted. They came back with a price. As you know, the board approved it. I told my constituents out there that, hey, I was all excited the road's going to be paved. The road department went out there and unfortunately busted up all the hard packed millings that was on one section to get it ready for the chip seal company. The chip seal company kept delaying. All that stuff unraveled. Then they come back and they wanted, what was an extra $235,000 for the project on top of what they already told us. And, you know, and like I said, it's all because they didn't come out and do what they were supposed to. Now I got a road out there that is all unraveled. They have to grade it at least once a week. People are calling and complaining because we told them it was going to get done. So it's just turned into an absolute nightmare. And like I said, no fault of the board or myself or Jason or anybody else, but the company just didn't do what they said they were going to do. And if we would have known they weren't going to do it, we would have never, ever went in there and busted up the millings that was hard packed and ready to go, you know, and unless they, you know, we'd have never done that because it's just done nothing but cause us headache and problems. Anyway, that's just a little explanation.
Mr. Dodge, you've answered that question. And while you're standing there, putting you on the spot, last night I had the fortunate pleasure of attending the Laudy City Council meeting, and some of the constituents from Northeast 17th and, was it 17 and 223 are asking for you all to come out. Their road is in horrible, those roads are in horrible shape.
Yes, ma'am, we'll add it to the list.
If I had an oversight, we did have a motion and a second on that, and we did say all in favor by the sign aye, I
Aye.
believe.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? None. So if you would,
We'll add it to the list. Yes, ma'am.
thank you. All right. Mr. Clerk, Madam.
We don't have anything to report from the clerk's office, but I did want to ask the board about one particular subject. You've approved 3 dirt road subdivisions in the last 3 years since I've been in office. And these are what, they don't say private road, they say easement. But that's going to be a numbered road one day, like Riverbend.
Yep.
And I would just ask you entertain with the county attorney prohibiting dirt road subdivisions. Clay County prohibited them 40 years ago. The next thing they'll do, they'll go to flag lots. That's what they did in Clay County. They need to prohibit flag lots, where they have 10, 20-foot easements going down to 10, 12 different parcels of property. But these are just creating future problems. So go ahead and attack it now and try to shut it down and say if you're going to build a subdivision, these had DOT acceptable roads, and then deed them to the county.
I may, I actually asked if we could do that when
Yes,
the last one, and I think I was told we couldn't.
Clay County's prohibited any more than one lot being on a driveway for the last 40 years.
But like you said, it's nothing but a huge future problem.
Right, for y'all, I mean, they're gonna come to y'all and say, fix my road, but
Yeah.
it's not our road.
And if there is something that we can do, I would strongly recommend that we do that.
Yes, ma'am. We'll get together with the county attorney and see if we can draft something to put before you.
Anything else, Mr. Clerk?
It's budget time.
Budget, and so have you come up with some proposed date for workshops? We're gonna,
We haven't because we're taking into consideration the fire rescue assessment and different things. We just have no idea where we sit right now.
okay, but we'll,
We just look at last year and say, okay, we're going pretty much like last year.
okay, but we'll do some future budget workshops when you have a better handle on kind of what we're looking at.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the clerk
Okay.
has given us a timeline of
Okay.
dates that we have a schedule. We know when we have to have certain things done by, and we'll schedule workshops, whatever those workshops look like. We need to figure that out at the appropriate time.
Okay, and just for the board, and I think Rachel and Amanda for just clarifying it for me. So our Tuesday, September 3rd meeting, which we have scheduled at 5:30, it says before the commission meeting, we meet in that morning. We'll have our regular board meeting that morning, and then we'll have the budget in the evening. Okay.
Can I share something?
Yes, Commissioner.
Do we
Andrews.
have a date set with the consultant that he's going to come and?
No, ma'am, we do not have a firm date from him. Chief Carter and Amanda and I met with him last week, I believe. And it seemed like at that time they were about 2 weeks out. So I expect to hear something from them, with a final analysis sometime next week, maybe the end of next week. And then we'll schedule them to come at whatever the next commission meeting is.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for the clerk? All right. Sheriff Smith?
All right, come before you. Did we get the thumb drive? Was able to get the PowerPoint set up?
Yes, sir.
Before we get into that, I wanted to take a little moment to brag on Director Brad Witt and his staff that and his team he put together. Last week, the Bradford County Sheriff's Office completed the Level 1 review of the Florida Sheriff's Association Professional Recognition Program. This program is designed to recognize sheriff's offices for their commitment and progress to achieving accredited status through the Florida Commission for Law Enforcement Accreditation. Never been done in this before. And a lot of hard work, but thanks to combined efforts of our Sheriff's Office Accreditation Committee, the Bradford County Sheriff's Office expects to receive our Level 1 award at the next Florida Sheriff's Association Conference this summer. And that's basically to make sure we have all the right and proper policies and procedures in place moving forward through the accreditation process. It's a big step. We've worked on it for over a year. And at the direction of Director Brad Witt has led this team meeting, getting them approved, make sure that our policies and procedures meet the standard for this accreditation process. Step 2 will be the physical aspect of it. We'll meet all those standards and some other policies that will have to come into place. And then the third step will be that they actually come on site and they spend a couple of weeks with us to make sure that not only are we that we have them, that we're also following them, and that all your employees understand what that accreditation process is and that we're living up to those standards that we have put in place. Not only that we have them, that we're actually committed to them. So that's a big step. That's the huge hurdle in the beginning. So I want to give a thank you to him. Our annual report, it's a little lengthy, not lengthy, but a little late in the year for us normally. But Zach Jones, who puts this together for us, he is now the proud father of a new little baby girl. But we called him up and he actually was willing. I don't know, he jumped up and said, yeah, I got to get in and get that finished, and left. He left his 6 weeks early to come back to work. I think about 2 weeks into changing diapers, he realized that he wanted to come back in and get this finished up. So kudos to him. He puts this together for us. Basically, you'll see, flip the next page. You got there to follow along. It just gives all the constitutional officer my little message. But the next page is all the constitutional. So we pass this out in our town hall meetings. And our chair lady, Miss Spooner, is stayed on top of it, make sure we set those dates in regards to that you'll have all those for the commissioners to have when we set those town hall meetings. And a lot of photos and pictures of things that we do. We went over our current budget, personal services, the $6.5 million, operating expenses, 1.4 capital outlay, to bring our current budget to $8,108,000. Of that, we have almost $785,000 in grants, and we brought in $538,000 in inmate revenue. Our patrol division, basically calls for service was 42,431. That was an increase of 8,000 calls for service compared to the previous year. Traffic enforcement, we got them down there. Traffic stops, you'll see in 2022, we had 8,460 traffic stops. That's increased to 10,940. Of that, 6,728 were warnings. Not every traffic stop issue is, like I say, most of it's educational and doing traffic stops. We did write 1,624 traffic citation, which was well more than double what we had the previous year. The bypass accounts for a lot of that. A lot of those things come into our license plate readers that we have strategically placed throughout the county. It's almost, I call it fishing in a barrel. It tells you when that tag comes through there if the registered owner has a warrant, registered owner doesn't have a driver's license, if someone's missing, stolen vehicle. It's led to a lot of other things, productivity. So that's really increased. Our offense reports for 2023 was 1,764. That's actually written reports. So you can say it's several a day. Theft reports were down from 2022 to 115. Burglaries were up from 2022, which was 107. Our missing runaway juveniles, children, those type things were down from 45 to 39. Our domestic batteries were up a few, from 176 to 184. Our fraud reports went from 64 to 91. A lot of that's social media, online. We're getting a lot of that these days, so be careful what you do online, and use a credit card, not a debit card, for any of your online stuff. Funeral escorts, as you can see, the way funerals are being conducted, it's different now. It's from 2022, and they keep decreasing each year. We're down to 51 funeral escorts for 20. A lot of them are doing the viewing prior to the service. A lot more cremations than actual burials. So a lot of different things go into that. Our civil process, in regards to that, public records request 438, criminal history background checks 1,666, property lien queries is 198. That comes through code enforcement. People want to check, make sure there's no lien or anything on property before they purchase it. Employment fingerprinting 202, Code enforcement investigations, 350. Court civil process papers served from the courts, 2,776. Our school protection unit, I'm going through rather quickly, but for time's sake, but our school protection unit, which I'm very proud of, there's one in every school. It keeps our calls down. Not only that, what we realized when we started doing the school protection deputies, our conflicts with parents and teachers, administrators, way down because now they know there's a deputy on campus. A lot of that venting, raising cane, showing yourself has really decreased on our schools. Our school fights are down, all that kind of stuff because you have that law enforcement there. But not only that, our school guardians. And, you know, in that school guardian program, you have armed administrators, teachers, educators throughout the system, and we have them in every school. So they're there in plain clothes. You wouldn't know it. It's not a public record. They do the training, and through diligent work of, again, Director Brad Wood is involved with that, and Sean Bergen, Lieutenant Bergen, from the school system. They write a grant, and that's all been covered through the grant process of outfitting. We purchase the weapons, the badges, the training. Every 3 months, they have 8 additional hours of training that all these guardians must go through. So their training is kept updated. Inmate work squads, our next sheet. We get to that. What inmate work squads are at? Let me see here. I skipped something. Okay. Inmate work crews. We have 4 different inmate work crews who worked a total of 12,370 hours in 2023, saving the taxpayers thousands of dollars. Along with maintaining a plethora of county facilities and landscapes, the work crews assist with setup and tear down for multiple festivals and functions. Some of the projects they completed including painting the county jail, painting and landscaping at different schools during the summer, and building roofs over kennels and rerouting drainage for sanitation purposes at the animal shelter. Our animal service, so when you look down there for a couple of full-time employees and a part-time employee, you look down, they had over 2,000 calls for service, 74 of which were after hours. They worked 33 bite cases and took in over 1,400 animals. That's quite a bit of work for a small facility, for our animal control facility. Our judicial services, you can see down there, and just going over what they do, many other events, proceedings, our judicial service oversaw 1,169 felony, 1,686 misdemeanor hearings, as well as 16 trials, 644 total transports. That's about 2 a day on average, transporting. When they're incarcerated, you got to get them, bring them. They're arrested on outstanding warrants. Those have to be brought in, and they have to go get them. They had 207 arrests amongst ourselves, and that's a small staff of 3 full-time, a couple of part-time people that work in there, and they work with the jail in and out to bring extra staff in when needed for trials and high-risk hearings. But they had 33,450 visitors entering the courthouse throughout the year. And that doesn't include the tax collector, supervisor of elections, building and zoning, those offices. That's just the center hub of the courthouse, which is the clerk's office, the judges, state attorney, and public defender. So they're there. The sex offender unit in 2023 had 71 sexual predators and 221 sexual offenders were registered. And that's because they have to come in and get registered every few months, keep updated what they're driving, what their email addresses are, photographs, any updates on them. They've actually worked a lot of different games, sporting events. They found one at a sporting event this year, was able to take the person into custody. They were there where they weren't supposed to be around kids. So we addressed that well, working with probation and parole. And then we look at, basically, we go back, due to the contract with a new telephone vendor, inmate calls and video visits increased by 37%, with video calls at 20 cents a minute, voice calls at 18 cents a minute. Through the same company, tablets were acquired and implemented, which gives free access to law library, which is, as you would know, Ms. Andrews, it's required, makes it a little easier instead of bringing them out, bring them into a library, everything's at their fingertips. And educational applications, working with Santa Fe College and the doctor over there that oversees Santa Fe, we're working with him, come up with some new programs while they're incarcerated through these tablets, some educational programs while they're there. We'll be offering that here hopefully in the near future. Low-cost entertainment to possibly occupy their time inside their cells. There's also an added level of immediate reporting for the PREA, which is mandated by federal. So that at a touch of a button, they can report something through the PREA Prison Rape Elimination Act when an inmate feels threatened or violated. But new uniforms are also implemented for correctional officers, provided to be more comfortable and durable, and local vendor partnerships save 40% of the cost. The jail also underwent required audits, including 2 Florida model jail standards, security and medical inspections, one announced, and now one is mandated by law to be unannounced. And a Prison Rape Elimination Act audit, which is also required every 3 years. These audits are an in-depth look into each standard and practice to ensure that each standard is being met satisfactorily in order to pass. Each audit was completed by different experts in their respective fields, as well as certified inspectors. In each case, our jail met or exceeded standards with compliments in many areas, such as the cleanliness and sanitation, attention to inmate needs, staff attitude, knowledge, and use of technology. We averaged a total of 117 detainees daily. On average, the Corrections Division, I can't say enough about. They do a lot of different things, from court security to the court services, transports, federal inmates, overseeing work programs. They do an awful lot, what Major McKinley and her staff do over there. And I can tell you, when you lay your head down at night as the sheriff, it's nice to not have to worry knowing it's in good hands. So I'm proud of our Corrections Division. But they also partnered with the Florida Department of Corrections and organized and implemented the Face It program at the jail for inmates who will get released on probation. The goal is to assist them in satisfying all the requirements of their state probation so they do not return to jail on violation. Additional programs within the jail include AA groups as well as mental health groups that meet regularly. Another initiative allowed the jail to receive a full supply of Naxalone at no cost to our taxpayers through the HEROES program. This provided all first responders within the jail facility with access to this prescription medication to reverse an opioid overdose. People get incarcerated, you arrest them, they get to the jail, and they go, uh-oh, I still got this on me. Someplace they probably shouldn't have stashed it away. They get there, instead of trying to flush it or get rid of it, they don't want to get caught, they ingest it. We've had those issues. Now all of our correction staff have access to this Narcan, which helps through our HEROES program. Emergency management, as it came to a close, I can't speak enough. Director Witt and his staff really do a lot to keep us updated throughout the year. It's just not during hurricane season. They're on top of it's a major fire through Red Cross and all the different issues that arise there, to organizing what needs to come next, setting up command posts, whatever needs to be done. They're always there. They do an actual lot in our county that kind of goes unseen and unheard. They're kind of the quiet workhorse that provides a lot of stuff. Criminal investigations. In 2023, case breakdown highlights. Drug investigations, we had 139 active drug investigations. Financial fraud investigations, 32. Special victim investigations, child abuse, sex crimes, those type things. We had 78. Property crimes, 52, for a total caseload of 404. Those are cases that gets forwarded over to investigations. If you was to work a shooting in the middle of the night, a sexual battery, child abuse, it gets forwarded to the detective division. They made 133 arrests out of there with a clearance rate of 86.6%. That's about twice the national average, or more than twice, I should say. Our Sheriff's Explorer program, these kids are everywhere. I say kids, young men and young women, that they're out there. You see it, parking details. They're working a lot of functions, sporting events, ball games. I think they're assisting Clay County's fair right now as we, through that process. And when they need help, they get a lot of work, and we hire a lot of our kids. If they do 3 years in our program, we sponsor them through the academy. That has helped diversify our agency, and I'm proud of our kids. The Sheriff's Posse, they represent us throughout the state. They've been used for missing children throughout the state. They load up their volunteers. They work sporting events and help keep us safe. And then our professional development and training, as you'll see there, ensures that all deputies receive ongoing training, provide professional and effective service to our citizens. Public safety initiatives cannot be met without acquiring and maintaining certain knowledge and skill sets. A BCSO patrol deputy must first successfully attend a state-accredited law enforcement academy and receive certification. That deputy then receives 9 weeks of training from our field training program before being assigned to his or her duties. Continuing bi-monthly in-service training is conducted, covering a variety of topics throughout the year. Additionally, our deputies are encouraged to receive additional accredited training. During the year of 2023, our deputies received the following training through our in-service programs: first aid, Narcan, which includes the use of Narcan, which is a medicine delivered to a drug overdose patient, because majority of the time a deputy arrives first. So it's very important, and we work with our fire rescue folks to help do a lot of this training. Safe and efficient firearm handling, including patrol rifle, service pistol, less lethal shotguns, scenario-based training. We do have a scenario-based training program, which was set up over at the Bradford Union Technical College, and we do a lot of training there. Not only our guardians, not only our special deputies, but our deputies. It is one of the finest training facilities that we have. It gives you real life training scenarios in that shoot house. So it's pretty fascinating. A lot of those kids do better than we do. I can tell you those kids that are attending a criminal justice program and all, and our guys like to slide over there and get to use that system, and it is pretty fascinating. But they do a lot of that. Our special forces, the SWAT team, as you hear, their honor guard, aerial drone team, our Marine team. Matter of fact, I think one of our boat is one of the finalists for best equipped, outfitted. We got off a grant through our boat, was able to do that. So I just want to say thank you. If there's any questions, that's kind of a quick rundown of where we're at so far for the year. Kind of wanted to give you an update status, and we'll be doing town hall meetings here probably starting next month and trying to go around. I'll let every one of the commissioners know so you can attend in your area. We're proud of what we do, but we couldn't do it without the support of the commissioners. Any questions?
Thank you, Sheriff Smith, and just like to commend you and your officers for your coverage right now and covering our whole county.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
appreciate the work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sheriff,
Any
thank you for, I know you have Shoot with the Sheriffs coming up on
We
April
do,
12th.
12th.
So,
Yeah, come on out and join us. It's a
Thank
great
you.
fundraiser. It goes into the Bradford Sheriff Charities Foundation.
right.
It's a nonprofit, so if you make a donation, it is a tax write-off, and a lot of people do that. But every dime that we raise, there's no administration fees. Every one of those checks comes straight from whatever's raised, goes back into the community, whether it be the band, whether it be the high Q team over the years we've done, whether it be softball, football, basketball, tennis. Byron Ramser out of our agency does the tennis team. Lieutenant Sean Bergen coaches the baseball team. We're out there truly involved in our community.
Thank you.
We're blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Sheriff Smith. And at this time, we have our county manager report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like for Chief Carter to come up and give us an update on the paramedicine program.
Madam Chair, Board, good morning. I had the opportunity to work a 24-hour shift yesterday. Worked on one of the rescues, and it was pretty eye-opening. Haven't done that in a while, so I'm a little tired this morning. That's what it's from. But it does speak to Sheriff Smith's presentation there. Watching it was kind of afforded me the opportunity to be essentially an undercover boss. With the other agencies that we interacted with and the hospitals and everything, and so. He's got a great team of professionals out there that we interacted with, yesterday evening on a few calls. And so, just the partnerships that we have with all the different departments and agencies throughout the county, especially. But very, very excited for this new program moving forward with the community paramedicine program. We did finally wrap up our process for hiring in that position, and would like to introduce Lieutenant David Weeks, and he is our new community paramedic. So David has been with Bradford County for 10 years now, and he's got a bachelor's degree in emergency management, correct? And excited to have him in this role and finally get this started. Today's actually his first day. After this meeting, we're going to sit down and map out our objectives and get this program actually going. But that's why he walked in late today, was he actually went on his first house call this morning. So he's excited to get going in this program as well. And I know that some of you have some doubts and questions regarding this program, but I just ask that you trust me, you trust David, to do what we do best, and that's take care of people. So I want to allow him an opportunity to speak, Madam Chair, if you would, just to introduce himself, and if you have any questions for David also.
Mr. Dukes?
Good morning. So as Chief Carter said, I'm David. I've been with the county for about 10 years now. I'm really excited to get this program started. I think it's going to bring a lot of good and resources to the citizens that need it the most, and that's our most vulnerable population. Some of the things that we're going to focus on, and we'll talk more in depth, is really going to be hitting on the opioid abuse reduction in addition to risk reduction. So that'll include, public education on Narcan use, some of the things to look for with overdoses. We're going to be performing in-home fall risk assessments, medication reconciliation. Really, the list can go on and on and on. The next coming weeks, we'll start to meet with the health department, Meridian, and just other agencies that are local that'll kind of help us accomplish these goals and get done what we need to get done. I'd like to thank the board, County Manager Cornegay, and then both the chiefs here. Just without the support, we wouldn't be able to get this program started. So I think it's going to be a great thing, and we're all excited about the department. So.
Okay. Any comments, Commissioner Andrews?
When you sit down and work on this
Yeah.
and actually do an outline of where you're at, where you want to, would you make sure that I get a copy of that to go in the 5-year strategic plan? Thank you.
Okay, yes, and that would be important just for all of us to have to know what programs. And then for me, a key piece is treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm anxious to see
Yes, ma'am.
something in that area because that's where the heart of the issue is.
Yeah, for sure. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those. But as always, we appreciate the support.
Thank you, Chief. Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Okay. Our attorney, Rob Bradley.
Thank you, Chair. Our office looks forward to working with Mr. Cornegay and staff on the discussion that was had earlier about looking to amend your land development regulations to deal with making sure that there's infrastructure in place with new subdivisions that is where the cost is borne more by the developer, and that there's a longer term plan for maintenance.
Okay, thank you. All right. For our commissioners, Commissioner Andrews.
Just, did we get the information for the strategic plan from your office? Did we get it?
Not all of it. We're still collecting it, and you'll have it probably the first of next week.
I just wanted to let you know that I am working on getting all that finished up, pulled together, and hopefully it'll be done soon for you.
Thank you. All right. Commissioner Doherty.
I don't have anything. Actually, I do want to say we've had our now third meeting on the statewide council for the opioid abatement. It was very informative. I do have a copy of the agenda that was here, and there were some interesting things that were brought up in that, Chief, that I was telling Mr. Cornegay that the next call I'd like to try to get you guys on there too, and just hear some of the updates from some of the different cities and counties and the things they're doing, and also the things that they're supplying to law enforcement and to each of your firefighters, and just having these like overdose response kits and things like that, and not just within the departments, but also where are we going to have those located? Do we have them located throughout the county building? And because you just never know who's going to show up and all of a sudden go into overdose mode, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, not only here, but maybe the library. I'm sure the health department has something in place, but just having those kits readily available. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then maybe even, at Santa Fe College, at all the locations there, and I'm sure throughout the schools as well. So good. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. That's right.
Yes, just, I I thank everyone for being here today, and all our departments doing a great job. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. The contractor has broken ground on the new living quarters, so get time, swing by there and give them a little boost. But no, it's going good. And the other thing is, this past Sunday we celebrated our risen Savior, Jesus Christ, and it's awesome. That's the only religion in the world that we have a risen Savior. Our Savior isn't, his bones ain't in the grave. He's alive and well and sitting on the right hand of God the Father. But if you did miss Easter Sunday, I just encourage you, don't miss the opportunity to have the greatest gift ever, and that's the gift of salvation through Jesus Christ. And that's what Easter Sunday was all about. And just encourage you, if you don't know about it, find you a good church home and learn more about it. That's the difference between whether you're going to spend eternity in heaven or whether you're going to spend eternity in hell. And it's the best gift God could ever give us. And anyway, just encourage everyone to look into it. So that's all I've got.
All right.
Thank you.
And thank you. This over the past week, I call them our sister cities and sister counties. In Clay County, the ICOA had their groundbreaking for the asphalt company. It's just 3 miles past Laudy. It's an opportunity for us to partner, and our county manager was there, Mr. Carnegie, and myself. But we have opportunity to partner with those around us, because there may be job opportunities for the people who live in Bradford County to work there once, they get that building going. And also yesterday they had the ribbon cutting for the pickleball court with the city. And so I am just really proud of the partnership and the working relationship that our board and our county is engaged in with our surrounding municipalities, because we're one county and one community, and when we work together, we can achieve so much. Also, I just want to encourage you all to spread the word about our Bradford County partners with the health and wellness. They have 3 hubs now in Stark at the RJE site. It's on the first and third Thursday of each month from 10 to 2, and Laudy at the Tatum Brothers Park on the second Thursday of each month from 8:30 to 12:30, and also in Hampton, the art program at the old Hampton school. They have theirs on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month from 10 to 2 p.m. A lot of good information is shared and services provided for our local residents. So just help to spread the word, and they do tabletops on different subjects, and that is helpful for our community. And I see Miss Lizzie back there. We so happy with our 4-H programs, and I think she's going to try to get on the agenda for maybe the next month to try to share some information about their programs. And again, one of the things that is near and dear to my heart is spreading the word among our community about breast cancer. And on the 27th, that I mentioned at our last meeting, we're going to do a cancer walk on the 27th, the last Saturday of April, 9:30 at the County Road 100A over in Lincoln City, starting at the Mount Pisgah Church. And we'll just walk for 1.5 miles and 1.5 miles back to promote that. And we encourage you all to participate. Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, this meeting is adjourned.